Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another off-the-cuff discussion video. Today we're not talking about the car industry, for once. We are talking about a specific car, and that specific car is the upcoming Honda Prelude. Now, things are getting a little bit interesting about the Honda Prelude, and frankly, as the title of this video has made it clear, I am a little bit worried. Let me tell you why that is, because it's more than likely not for the reasons you think. So, a couple of years ago, I want to say, I think it was either last year or the year before, Honda announced the return of the Prelude, and it wouldn't be a crossover like with so many other automakers taking a dump on their legacy nameplates. The new Prelude would be a two-door front-wheel drive coupe like the original Prelude, which was sold from the 80s to the early 2000s. And we all thought that this was a fantastic thing, because something like this has been missing from automaker lineups for decades now. We haven't seen a sporty front-wheel drive car in ages, and we thought it was a great idea that Honda was listening to the enthusiast community, however small it may be in the grand scheme of things, and that we would be getting a cool enthusiast car to break up the monotony a little bit. And unlike a lot of people that are instantly not convinced by the Honda Prelude, I am trying to keep an open mind, because just because something is different than it used to be originally doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. I would be lying if I said I wasn't slightly disappointed when we found out that the new Prelude, would not offer a manual transmission, even though there was a rumor that it would. But I'm trying to keep an open mind. We have been shown multiple examples throughout the years that front-wheel drive cars are also incredibly fun. And even with an automatic transmission, or in this case, frankly, it's a CVT with a simulated manual shifting mode, that doesn't necessarily have to be something bad. Plus, I absolutely love the way the Prelude looks, and I'm pretty sure that the production model, which I think we already saw recently, or at least even more further along prototype, I think it looks fantastic. So I'm keeping an open mind. Despite its horsepower, it's going to have around 200 horsepower, and it's going to be a hybrid, as I said already, that kind of thing. But there's a new development with the Honda Prelude, which has started raising flags of worry. Red flags, if you will. And that's the price that Honda is shooting for. So nothing is confirmed just yet, it's a rumor, but in Japan, apparently the Honda Prelude will start at a higher base price than both the about to be discontinued Toyota GR Supra and the Nissan Z. And that is a problem, because the thing about the Nissan Z and the Supra is they're both rear-wheel drive, they have 6-cylinder engines, pushing 400 horsepower, and they offer manual transmissions. And the Prelude has none of those things, and yet it will cost more than them. I imagine the extra cost is almost entirely due to the fact that it's a hybrid, because hybrids always command a premium, at least in most cases. But when you're going into battle with sports cars and you're billing yourself as a sports car, that's a little bit of a worry. And that's not even mentioning Europe just yet, because first of all, let's not focus on Europe as much, because I always do that. Let's talk about North America as well, because in North America, where the Prelude will probably also start around $40,000 US, that's more expensive than the Civic Type R, which is like 35 grand in the US and Canada, and it's also like 10 grand more than a base GR86 and Subaru BRZ. And the Prelude, the Civic Type R, yes, it's front-wheel drive, but that has a manual transmission, and it has 320 horsepower, and the GR86 and BRZ, they have around 220 horsepower, but again, rear-wheel drive and a manual transmission. And then there's Europe. The prices for Honda vehicles in Europe are absolutely batshit insane. And this is probably something that a lot of Americans and the Americans watching this video don't really realize. You might be able to walk in your local Honda dealer and pick up a Civic Hybrid for $31,995, but in Switzerland, for example, when I was at the auto show last year, a loaded Civic Hybrid is $52,000 US, equivalent of. Let me repeat that. A Honda Civic, and it wasn't even the Type R, by the way, it was a hybrid, a regular Civic with the highest trim level, $52,000. So couple this with the fact that the Prelude is probably going to be a more premium offering, and it's going to be positioned as a sports car and like a flagship sort of thing. Yeah, I think that in Europe the Prelude could easily fetch $60,000. And that's a problem because, one, nobody wants to spend 60 grand on a hybrid Honda, as Honda themselves will tell you, because Honda has completely fallen off in Europe. I don't think anyone's buying them anymore. I know locally no one's buying them here in Macedonia. I'm pretty sure that in the rest of Europe, Honda isn't doing particularly well. So now you're selling people a hybrid sports car with front-wheel drive and a no manual transmission for 60 grand. Frankly, to be honest, the Prelude will be in a class of its own because it won't have any competition. Audi discontinued the TT. Peugeot discontinued the RCZ almost a decade ago. Subaru and Toyota discontinued the BRZ twins because of freaking safety regulations. There hasn't been a Volkswagen Scirocco since 2017. The Prelude will be in a class of its own in Europe, but Honda will have the devil's own job trying to sell this car to Europeans, especially if the price is anything close to the sort of thing you see on Civics and other Honda vehicles in the European lineup. So, as much as I would love to see this vehicle succeed because it seems interesting and I trust Honda's engineers to make it good to drive because they're quite good at that sort of thing, in case you didn't know, I think it's going to be a tough sell, and I am a little bit concerned. And frankly, I don't know what could be done to make it less of a hard sell in any other market. Frankly, I think it'll be a tough sell even in Japan, in its home market, but especially North America and Europe. In North America, the competition is fierce, and in Europe, while there's no competition, the price is absolutely out of control, or, well, the price will more than likely be completely out of control. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe Honda can try a different base price. I don't know. Again, all of the price-related stuff on the Honda Prelude is pure speculation, and I want to make that absolutely clear. We have no idea how much it'll cost. Maybe it'll be less than that, and everyone will be happy. I don't know. European taxes on cars are massive, and in North America, it's difficult to get people to spend that kind of money on a sports car, quote-unquote, when they can get something sportier and possibly better for the same amount of money or less. And that's not even talking about used cars. Like $40,000 is enough for a used Boxster or Cayman easily, or a TTRS from a few years ago. And 60 grand is probably enough for a fully loaded Nissan Z. I haven't checked prices in forever, but I'm pretty sure that 60 grand gets you a fully loaded Nissan Z with the 6-speed manual in the US. But the Honda Prelude has a tough task ahead of it, let's say, and I do want to see it succeed because I'm not one of those who immediately shut down the new Prelude because it's different and because there's no manual and because it's a hybrid and this and that, but it needs a much bigger selling point if it's going to succeed and if it's going to be a high price. The easiest way to do that, of course, is to give it more power, because with 200 horsepower for 60 grand or 40 grand, depending on the market, I don't think many people are interested in that. But if you bring it closer to 300 horsepower, while also not making it the same as the Civic Type R to not cannibalize sales of the Civic Type R, then we could have a different conversation on our hands. Maybe give it an actual manual transmission in good time. I don't know if they can do that, because the thing about the Honda CR-Z, I see the new Prelude as a replacement for the CR-Z and not the original Prelude. The original CR-Z was a mild hybrid, and that's what allowed it to have a manual transmission. So I'm not sure what kind of powertrain that the Prelude will go for, but I assume that it's a more conventional series hybrid, and it doesn't really make sense for those to have manual transmissions. But I have seen series hybrids with torque converters or dual clutch transmissions, and that could be a little bit of a better option. I think that we're too far along in the Prelude's development and its release. We're too close to the release of the production model for these changes to be made now, but maybe later down the line we could see an improved Prelude with more mass appeal. Bottom line is, I'm a little bit worried about the Honda Prelude, but I do wish Honda the best of luck. And I'm just really glad that the Prelude exists in the first place, because it could have been another crossover like the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross or whatever else they're coming up with these days. And that's going to be about it for this video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about the Honda Prelude in the comments below. Follow along with the community tab for upcoming videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.